Hello, and welcome to part 3 of the Freddy Dynamite Cafe Racer build. Now in the last episode, we modified our new seat frame hoop, and we cut off the original one off the bike. In this episode, we're going to mount this to the bike and get it all welded in. Now to get you up to speed on everything I did since the last episode, here's a quick little montage. Well, after hours and hours of doing that, and thinking and calculating and measuring, I came up with nothing. Well, let's just wing it. Cue the intro. So these are the three options I came up with. Number one, we follow the bike's backbone. We mount the hoop on the same way that the original frame was made, and cut this with a 20-degree angle and connect it. What I didn't like about this is when you put the seat pan on, that the seat pan ends up hanging over this edge. I don't like the look of that. Also, I attempted to make this 20-degree bend here with a piece of pipe with not much luck. It completely collapsed. I don't have a pipe bender. And this was my attempt, filling it with sand and heating it and bending it over a form of my press, but it still kinked pretty bad. Option 2 would be, again with the backbone, putting the hoop on, and in front of the backbone adding a cross piece, and then adding 2 pieces of pipe to connect to the backbone like that. I kind of like this idea, except when the tank's on, it'll make a little space between, and I'm afraid it'll look disjointed. Option 3, again our backbone, is to put the hoop on this way and connect it from the ends at 90 degrees right to the backbone. This way we're hidden behind the tank. And I think overall it's the cleanest look we can do. So I think we'll go with that one. If not, the advantage is this is the longest option, so if I have to cut it back, it's no problem. Alright, now that we sort of have a plan of what we want to do, I've put the seat frame back onto the bike with just some vice grips so I can check the level where we want it to be. And what we have to make first is these little standoff brackets, something with a fish mouth on it, that's going to go against the frame wherever we want it to be, and then we'll notch the seat frame the same way to get welded on the side. And the advantage I like about doing that is with this open end on one side, I might be able to put the starter button or the key in there when we're finished. First thing we're going to do is make sure that our mark that we put onto the frame earlier is at the right place. We'll check the level. And that still does line up with our line perfectly. So that's where the standoff is going to be. Now the frame backbone is 4.5 inches wide, and we know that our seat frame on the outside is 9 inches. That means on either side we have 2.5 inches, and I'm going to add an extra 1/2 inch just for overlap, so I can trim it to where I want. And plus we have to add a 1/2 inch on this side for the fish mouth to fit on. So that's 2.5, 3.5. I've mounted a piece of 1-inch tube into the drill press, and the first thing I have to do is find the center. Next, with the drill press set at its slowest setting, we're going to drill a pilot hole through the tube. Now we've put in the 1-inch hole saw. We're going to try to cut through this straight. Not perfectly centered, but close enough. We'll just cut that off and we should have two good fish mouths. These are the parts that will go up against the frame. And then we'll just measure out 3 inches from there and make cuts, and it'll give us our two pieces. Okay, so we've got our standoffs all cut up and ready to go. There's one on the frame here. All we have to do is weld them on. But before we do, I'm going to drill a hole through the frame itself, just in case I do decide to go with the push button start in here. I want to be able to run the wire out right through the frame and to the electricals. Alright, let's just tack weld these into place for now. Now that we have the standoffs tack welded onto the frame, what's left to do is to trim down the rails of the seat frame with a fish mouth the right length and weld it onto here. One of the trickiest parts of this whole operation is when I cut off the original seat frame, I wasn't expecting there to be so much tension still on these upper rails here, and here's what happens. You can tell they come in quite a bit, so I'm going to have to find a way to tie those out while I'm modifying the front. Alright, I've basically got a place where I want it. I want to get the seat frame upturned to match in with this part of the frame here, and I think we're pretty close. Now I just need to mark here where we got to cut and put our fish mouth, and I'm super nervous about doing it because if I mess this up, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sure I won't. Alright, well here goes nothing. There we go, finally looks like we're getting somewhere. Just need to tack weld this on and make sure everything looks good, and the main frame hoop will be welded on. Well, I haven't found a way to get the hoop to sit on the 4 main contact points at the same time while I'm welding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to line the fish mouth in the right spot, tack weld just the top, and then pull the rear frame rails into alignment. Now I'm just going to weld it up all the way around. Well, I may not be the prettiest welder, but I'm a great grinder. Sorry I had to cut out a bit there, camera ran out of memory. I guess you guys just missed out on hours and hours of me grinding. Anyway, the frame's in now. All welded up, front and back. You can see the standoffs and where it's welded onto the back of the frame. Everything's looking good and solid. Now the next thing I have to do is on the back here, the shock mounts. Originally these tabs went up to the frame seat rail, but since I raised it, they no longer reach. So I'm going to add a gusset here to triangulate the frame and tie in the shock mount. I'll make that out of 1/8 inch steel and weld it in top and bottom. It'll be strong as ever. So to do this, I'm going to bring out the big design tools, CAD. Cardboard aided design. Take this piece of cardboard, trace out my template, and then cut out the metal. Well, it might not be a row of dimes, more like a big row of fat, floppy quarters, but you know what? It's not too bad now. I actually don't have to grind it all down. Now I'll just do the other side. Well, there you go. Both gussets are welded in. May not be the prettiest weld. I'm still quite new to welding myself. But it's not bad and it's solid. It's not going to go anywhere. Well, this is where we're going to call it quits for this episode. We made good progress today getting that seat frame on. Make sure you click subscribe down below so you don't miss any other episodes. Especially our next one where we'll be mounting the tank onto the frame. See you guys later.